Hey stream viewers, if you're outside of the United States, I have a cool offer I want to tell you guys about thanks to our partnered broker, 8cap. 8cap is currently offering the ability for new depositors to get access to our premium tool, the EdgeFinder, completely for free. Now how this works is basically you create an account and deposit a certain amount of money into that account, and they will essentially buy the EdgeFinder on your behalf. So it's a win-win-win. They get a new client for a reputable brokerage, you get access to the EdgeFinder and a great brokerage to trade with, and you'll be supporting the show by signing up with 8cap. Now here are the steps if you want to find out more about this specific offer, but make sure to follow them specifically as we list them out on the screen here. Step 1, navigate to a1trading.com/8cap. That's a1trading.com/8cap. Step 2 is to follow the instructions and to make sure you use the specific link on that screen to sign up for your new 8cap account. Step 3, complete the required deposit amounts and contact their team as instructed on the page. So if you're interested in finding out more about this offer, head over to a1trading.com/8cap, and we'll also be dropping the link to this down below in the live stream chat as we speak. Like I said, make sure to follow those instructions specifically if you'd like to get access to a free copy of the EdgeFinder if you meet the deposit requirements as listed on the website. Full information, like I said, can be found a1trading.com/8cap. Now back to the stream. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing well and happy Friday. I hope everybody has some plans for the weekend. If you're a trading junkie, I hope you're planning to do some back testing. If you're a normal person, I hope that you are not doing some back testing. Kidding. Everybody should be doing their back testing. Does anybody here? I'm just curious. We're just kicking off the stream. Give everybody a second to join in. Does anybody enjoy backtesting here? Backtesting is a very nostalgic topic for me because years ago, when I was in college, I just loved backtesting. Like it was so fun to me. And I realized later on in my trading career that most people do not like to backtest. And I guess it's not that you don't like to backtest necessarily, but a lot of people view it as so laborious that they don't actually want to do it. Also, hold on. Let me change my colors here on my thing. I felt like being a little less Casper the Ghost today. Come on, here we go. There we go. See, now it looks like I got a tan. But yeah, no, I mean, backtesting is really important. Also, I think that if I fast forward 20 years, I think I might just end up being Chris Pulver, or 10 years. I'm doing so much options trading here recently. I sold a put on Lululemon, got assigned this morning. I sold the 250 puts, July 11th expiration date, which is today. But they got assigned today. So the put buyer cashed in their puts essentially, and I got assigned the shares. But why do I love, I love options so much, and it kind of is a little bit of a bummer for me because I like options a lot, but I don't talk about them very much on the show because it's such an unpopular topic. So I'm going to make this really quick. Now it's a little bit more popular on my stocks channel. I've had some people asking about options and trading them with me, which is cool. I do have a second YouTube channel if you want to search it up. If you like stocks, TraderNick-stocks. Anyways, I sold the 250 puts when the stock dropped big on earnings. There was some forward guidance that was a little bit ugly. Stock dropped and kept dropping. So I sold the 250 puts, collected a premium for doing that. So I made some money just collecting the premium. But then you can see that the stock continued to drop. And so how does that actually play out? What happens when the put is in the money? Essentially when the bet hits for the buyer of this bet, right? I sold a bet, the bet hit. What happens? Well, I'll show you what happens because I'll pull up my my portfolio here and we can take a look at Lululemon. So also change the layout a little bit here. Actually, I need to do one thing on my settings here. Menu bar settings, put this on the right. There we go. Okay. So anyways, I ended up getting assigned the Lulu shares, right? LULU, ticker symbol for Lululemon. I ended up getting assigned 100 shares at a price of $243 per share. But wait, Nick, you said you sold the 250 puts. How'd you get assigned the shares at 243? Well, this is why I like options and selling them specifically, especially cash secured puts. I sold the 250, but get assigned down at 243. That's the premium at work, right? So it's a way to buy stocks and buy them at low prices, even if the stock never goes down. You essentially can make money. So, anyways, I love options. I've been trading them for, at this point, I think I'm coming up on 2 years of trading options and adding them into my kind of tool belt, if you will. So, anyways, that's an options trade that I did. Sold. I mean, it's not. I didn't make money on this at this time. But now, what I love about this is now I can look to actually sell. I'm thinking about once the market opens up here today, I'm going to probably sell the 270 calls. So I can now sell. I guess I don't really have one. I need to make a template, but I'm thinking about selling the 270 calls. So, anyways, sorry for I know not everybody's favorite topic. Let's move to everybody's favorite topic. I do have a trade on gold, which is also going well here this morning. Gold's a bullish reading on the EdgeFinder. Looks good. It's why I took the trade initially. We had a bullish reading a week and a half ago. Let's consider what's the outlook on gold. So if I look at gold, we are back to decision time, right? So this point of resistance, this 3360 level, previously acted as a bit of a sell spot for the bears. I mean, you can see this a lot clearer if you drop down to the 4-hour chart, right? We have some local resistance that we are coming up into around the 3360 level. So if we can break through this, right? If you get above the 3360 level, then to me, the path of least resistance would be a push on up to 3420, 3440. So to me, gold looks good. I'm long, not a huge position for me, but I am long. Russell trade has come back in or pulled back a little bit today. Stocks are a little bit lower this morning, etc. Would you do a crash course on how to get into options on your other channel? I do plan to do that. There's only so much content I can put out each day, but I do eventually plan on slowly. Right now, I've got such a wall of content to film. It is insane. I want to build out the EdgeFinder tutorials course, but then we also have, which is free on YouTube. You can find it on my channel. But I also have this other product, the Stockbox, that we're working on. So I'm working during the day on developing that. But then I also want to make content on how to use the Stockbox, all the different features there. And then I also want to make a crash course on options. And then I also want to do more Forex strategy stuff. People have been asking more about my dollar cost averaging. The problem is I have so many things going on. It's a good problem to have. I just love doing this stuff. So I'm just never going to run out of stuff to do. I guess you guys just don't get tired of me yapping. But anyways, Russell trade. I'm still in the trade. Price pulling back today. I'm not too worried about the Russell position at all. I mean, I've said this all week long. Today's Friday. On Monday, I was saying the same thing. On Monday, I said my job this week is to trail stops. We trailed stops. Higher low was formed. We broke through those highs. I'd like to see, I mean, I could get fancier with it, but I'm not going to. I'm sticking to the daily chart, which is my bread and butter. Boring old daily chart that just works. Daily chart holding support, boom, up she went. If we come down, I'm fine. It's not a big deal, right? Everybody, we talked about this yesterday, talking about holding on to winners. It's hard sometimes to hold on to winners because look, the trade is a massive winner right now. And there is a strong part of me that's like, just close it, take profits, and call it a great year. I could literally stop trading right now for the rest of this year and say, I've had a 20% up year. But I won't do that because that's I've got a tangent that I've got to go on real quick. When people say I stop when I hit my profit target and then I'm done, I'm just not gonna. You're treating the markets like a casino. It's like you say, like, I leave the casino when I'm up. That's gambling mentality. Trading, investing, if you truly are doing it and you know what you're doing, it's not about cashing your chips when you're up and like, oh, I missed out on getting burned. No, I mean, if you're truly trading with an edge over the longer term, then you should always be involved and always looking for new setups. Why wouldn't you? If you have the edge, the casino doesn't, when you go to the casino and you play their games, right? They never want to stop playing their games because they're winning over the longer term. They might have periods where they give you a big payout when you go to the casino and have a good time and all that. But over the long term, they're going to make more than they lose. So that mentality where you hear people say sometimes, oh, I'm going to cash in my profit and I'm going to run for the hills. And I'm going to get out of the market. To me, it's the opposite. I want to stay involved. I want to be constantly looking for my trade setup. And I want to take the setups that I'm supposed to take. I'm not going to force trades, but I'm also not going to end my year early just because I've had a good start. That has no going forward. I can have a great second half of the year. Maybe I give back some in the second half, but maybe I have a great second half. It's not dependent. Just because I had a good first half does not mean the second half I'm going to give it all back, right? That is like trading like you're in the casino, like you're a player at the casino. If you're thinking to yourself, I just got to hit my target for the day and then I'm cashing out, I got to get out of there, then you're afraid of the market. You can't trade with fear of the market, right? Now, when I say that, I'm not saying you should full port long or short the market and go heavy on your position. No. I'm saying you shouldn't be afraid because your position size should be so small. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal if you go into some drawdown. Nick, why aren't you trailing? Yeah, good question, ball out. So here's what I'm looking for my next trail on Russell. Next trail on Russell. So we briefly broke through this high, but I'd be looking for some sort of higher low. So if we got like this, I would trail. It's a bit discretionary to be completely fair, like my trailing stop method. I am looking for a higher low to form, but we haven't formed one, right? So I'm looking for a higher low. Could come here, form a higher low. If it reverses course and we take out these previous highs decisively, then I will trail again. All right. So I am just looking for red candles to form and get rejected, which is what I've done for the last few weeks, right? So we've got green bursts, I trailed, right? And then a green burst, and then I trailed and I trailed and I trailed, right? So I am essentially looking for my next opportunity to trail, but I'm looking for something like this or something like this. I just want to see price continue to take out and push to new highs as my signal to trail stops further. Will you trail stops on gold? Good question. Let's pull up gold here. Gold's up 1% today. Really strong move on gold. So here's, again, I typically trail off of the daily chart. I like to use the daily chart. It's my favorite time frame. If I look at the daily chart on gold, I don't have a whole lot of room to trail, but this is what I will do. So the entry was really good here on gold. We did shoot off of that level, and then we've kind of gone sideways. Not a big deal. I've kept my stop loss in play. If we can take out these highs, right? If we push decisively, if we close decisively above that today, does anybody want to guess? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Where am I going to put a stop? If I'm going to trail, if I told you I'm going to trail, where am I going to trail it? You know where I'm going to trail it. I'm going to put it right there, right? Essentially at break even. Not because I'm trying to move it to break even. I don't have like some rule in my strategy that says you trail to break even at a 1-to-1, or I know some people do that. I don't have that rule. What I look for is I just look for market structure to tell me where to trail, right? It's not because I'm trailing to break even. It's not like, oh, I'm targeting break even. No. I'm just targeting where market structure showed me bulls were strong. So I'm going to trail right below there. And you might say, well, you're going to be liquidity and they're going to stop hunt you. I've heard that a million times. Support to me is support. Resistance is resistance. I don't get any fancier than that. Because yes, you can play the game of, oh, I'm going to do the liquidity sweeps or false breakouts. You could do all that and you can get real cute with it. You get real fancy and overanalyze everything. To me, support, resistance, resistance until proven otherwise. The strongest support levels will hold. The strongest resistance levels will hold. Will you have fake outs sometimes? Sure. It's cost of doing business. Also, Bulent, good to see you, my friend. Nick, I joined Chris's trade yesterday. The price is really reasonable because once you join, you get access to Chris's 4-hour training, which is worth the money. Yeah, Chris is the man. I enjoy learning from Chris as I have for multiple years. Why is gold giving this move? Any fundamental reason? Rate cuts. Rate cuts are still sort of on the menu. But then additionally, we've seen some rise once more in the Trump administration's kind of strong stance on tariffs, which the market freaked out around the first time, right? This move over here, that was a tariff freak out, right? So, if you get the resurgence of tariff worries, the market could again have a little bit of a sell-off and gold could have another push higher. That's not why I'm long gold, though. I like gold. If I want to get granular on why I like gold, here is the reason. So if I pull up the EdgeFinder's gold scanner page, you can see it's selected gold. I could also select silver, but I'm just keeping it on gold for now. A couple things that I like about gold at this time. Trend is to the upside. Seasonally, it is a strong month for gold. Let's look at that because I feel like I haven't talked about seasonality very much, but it does play a big role in what I do. So seasonally, what we can see here is that the EdgeFinder's got a 10-year average historical performance in the month of July for gold at 0.32%. So slightly positive, not very positive. In August, it's a 0.92% expected positive move for gold. In June, it was positive, but it missed. So nothing is perfect, right? But during March, April, May, those were seasonally a very strong period for gold, and gold delivered 7.5% gains, and then it gained another 5.6, and then it gained another 2.4%. Right, so those were good months, and seasonality was very correct in that. So could we have another positive month going into April and for the remainder of July? I think so. So I think gold can continue to push higher. If we go back to our gold and silver scanner, GDP statistics also came in soft, right? Look at GDP growth came in lower than forecast. That is bullish for gold, softness in the economy. Retail sales were also soft. CPI was cooler than expected. Core CPI was also cooler than expected. NFP was strong, so these things work against us. Unemployment rate and NFP were strong. Services PMIs came in line with expectations. This should actually be gray. I need to color code that better. Where's my pen? Here it is. Gold scanner. I'm making a note for myself. Gold scanner. Services PMIs. Services PMIs. Color. I'll fix that. I did fix yesterday. We did talk about the European economic heat map. If you're trading the euro or if you're trading the DAX or you're trading anything European related, I did get this changed. This was also the wrong color. It was gray when it should be blue. Euro's impact right now, really strong. Stocks impact for Europe, specifically the DAX, right? Really strong. What is this showing you? When we look at the economic data, which we do every single day on this show, why do we look at it so closely? Because it's the wind and the sail, right? At the end of the day, I equate fundamental analysis or macroeconomic stuff to being the wind for the sailors, right? We traders, we're sailors. We're sailing on the seas, right? Fundamental analysis is the wind, is the direction of the wind. That's, to me, my favorite analogy of fundamental analysis. Just like a sailor should always sort of check the direction of the wind, so too should a trader, in my view, check the direction of the fundamentals. So if I'm looking at, specifically, if I'm looking at Euro's impact, what we can see here is that most of our readings are strong for the euro. We had better than expected retail sales come in on the 7th of July. On the producer price index, we had some recent data that came in neutral, so it came in line with expectations. So anyways, take a look at the economic surprise meter here for the morning. Euro still looks strong. UK had some weak GDP numbers this morning. Anybody see that? We got two readings this morning For the currency traders, UK economic heat map updated for us. We had softer than expected GDP statistics out of the UK. They were expecting growth of 0.1%. They instead got growth of minus 0.1%. So contraction in the UK. This was a negative surprise, bearish for the UK, bearish specifically for the British pound. British pound overall getting a 40% read. Most of our readings here leaning bearish. And look at stocks impact. The UK stock market would be probably the least favorite for me personally right now in terms of foreign. Now, Shirls, you beat me to it. Shirls is on her game today. Shirls knew where we were going next. We also got Canadian data this morning. And it's not in the EdgeFinder. Do we get that data? Dang, we should have had that data this morning. Unemployment rate came in better than expected for Canada. It's not yet updated. Apologies for that. The timer must be coming up on that. Everything, all the data polls run on timers. So I will look into that shortly. CAD data today. Yeah, we had a really good unemployment rate went down in the Canadian dollar, which caused some short-term strength for the CAD, right? So we saw dollar CAD give back some ground this morning, but then sort of bounce back. Pound dollar definitely the loser today in terms of currencies, the majors. You've got the British pound getting softer here. They have, I believe it's August 7th, they have their decision to hold or cut interest rates. I do wonder if the round of data points that we've had recently suggest higher probabilities of a rate cut in the UK. Still in a very strong upward trend, but some of you guys might remember a couple weeks back, we were looking at the UK economic heat map and it was bullish. I think that trade may have sort of tapped out. And we know this about currencies. Currencies typically do this over the longer term. So is it possible that the British pound trade has sort of left the station for a little bit? It's possible. You've had a really good run. I wouldn't rule it out completely that you don't get something like this happen, but you would need to start seeing the economic data turn around. And so my thought on the British pound would be, I'm not buying this, right? So that, to me, you guys ready for a classic example of a technical only trap, in my personal humble opinion? Because nobody made me the judge on this, but here's my opinion. So, when I first got started, I would have looked at this and I said, oh, that's support. I'm going to buy support right there. It's going to go up. And maybe it does. Maybe it does. But now, years and years later, I've been a Forex trader for, a long time. I've been trading Forex for a long time. And for me, I would look at that now and I would say, this could be a big trap. Because the fundamentals to me do not suggest the British pound should go up. Right now, the British pound should actually break down. And so this is where, again, when you combine fundamental analysis with technicals, what you'll find, and this has happened to me so many times, if you only look at technicals, you can get trapped because the technicals can look great. But if the fundamentals are not there, again, it's like trying to sail against the wind. Why would you sail against the wind when you can check the wind before sailing? And if it's in your favor, go with it. And if it's not, then don't sail. That is the exact way I would explain the British pound setup. Technically looks beautiful, strong upward trend. But for me, I personally would not touch the British pound unless you get a turnaround in economic data. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with anybody? Give me a 1 or a yes in the chat if that makes sense. That concept of aligning both the technicals and fundamentals and understanding that traps do exist. You can have a beautiful technical chart that is rotten, right? That's the thing. You can have an apple that looks real good and it's rotten on the inside. So be careful with that. Again, not everybody, I know a lot of you guys are fundamentalists too. A lot of you guys look at the fundamentals, you look at the COT reports, you look at stuff beyond the chart. So I know we're in a safe space, right? We're in a friendly territory here. But a lot of traders do not do that. A lot of traders only look at technicals. They only look at, chart patterns. They only look at support and resistance. 9 times out of 10, when I meet a trader, they're only considering chart patterns. And it's fine. I'm not saying that you can't do well with that. But to me, I found a lot more clarity in markets once I started understanding the bigger picture, why markets are moving the direction they're moving. Right? Why don't you sell it then? Great question, Samuel. So, I mean, that is a good question. So if I'm selling the British pound versus the dollar, then what do I want to do? So I'll tell you why I'm not selling it. It's because it's not within my rules right now. And even if it is, it might be. Is the British pound? It is. Okay. So yes, actually, the British pound against the US dollar is a bearish reading. This is a new setup on the EdgeFinder. So to Samuel's question, he says, why aren't you selling it? That's a great question. So I would be selling it now. I'm sorry. I would be selling it going forward if the conditions set up for me. So specifically, I love this example. This is a perfect example. Today, we are going to get a perfect example of a currency trade. Here we go. So the technicals I mentioned look good. They're bullish, right? Technicals to me, daily chart, you can apply some moving averages if you want, but it's pretty clear. This is a strong upward trend on the daily. You're testing into the 50-day moving average. You've got support that held beautifully here back on the 23rd of June. So I'm not ready to short this pair on a technical basis. So if I was only technicals, this would be a buy. If I was an only technical trader, I would be looking for bullish setups on the British pound around 1.3430. But the fundamentals are looking bearish, right? As I just got done discussing with the UK economic heat map. We had some soft GDP numbers this morning and a whole list of other reasons that we discussed. So what we have here is we have disagreement between the technicals and the fundamentals. So what do? I do nothing right now. But if we get the technicals aligning with the fundamentals and we get something like this, then it's probably a short setup for me. Okay. So what does that look like? What would a trade setup from here look like? Well, I want all of those technical bullish levels to fail. So specifically, if I was to get bearish the British pound against the US dollar, the bare minimum that I would like to see would be a failure of support, right? This level, this key level, and then retesting into that area. At that point, what I have is a setup, which makes a lot more sense to me. At that point, I have technicals aligning where you're having a turnaround, like a reversal setup, failure at support, retesting into resistance that was support. Technicals look good. We all know that stuff. That stuff's easy. Textbook technical analysis, a reversal, right? But the fundamentals are there too. That's the setup for me. Now, again, to each their own. Cheryl says Miko and Marco are technical traders. Yes, correct. Marco's a technical and fundamental trader. Miko is a technicals only trader. Again, I want to clarify again and again that I'm not a fundamental analysis supremacist. I don't think that it's the only way to make money in the markets. Just like I don't think anything is the only way. I think there are people who make money trading all sorts of different styles. Who am I to claim that a style doesn't work? I've just found something that works for me. I've done really well with technicals plus fundamentals over the years. I know that works really well for me. It may not work for everybody, but it works really well for me. And for me, I found most traders who are losing money do typically only approach the markets with a technical analysis approach and wonder why they're losing money. It doesn't mean that that every single only technical analyst traders are like, there are people out there who use only technicals that do great. Again, I just think that's a very difficult path that most traders fail at, and they don't know why. To me, understanding the fundamentals and why they're moving a market up or down is really, really key. I'm actually glad that we saw that pound dollar. That to me is a very interesting trade to keep an eye on. That's, in fact, if I look at US dollar crosses only today, British pound, US dollar, gold bullish. I mean, really, in terms of like, if I only look at major currency pairs, we're getting one that's bullish for the dollar, one that's bearish for the dollar. So little, still sort of mixed on the dollar, but this is interesting because the British pound is coming in really soft with some economic data. So I definitely lean, if I'm looking at pound, definitely leaning bearish on the pound in terms of a short-term momentum trade, or based on the economic data we just went through. So yeah, very interesting. Bit of a shift here in economic data here recently. By the way, if you don't have a copy of the EdgeFinder, it is on super sale right now. It's 45% off for a limited time. If you want some information about how you can lock in that price before it ends, we're doing a super special discount right now. If you want some details, if you want some information, if you want to break it up into a payment plan, if you want to try it out first, send us a direct message right here. Click this link and you'll be directed to where you can speak directly to our support team about getting set up with the EdgeFinder for a limited time. Fair warning, 45% off is the biggest discount that we offer for the entire year. So if you've been thinking about getting a copy, if you're thinking about taking that technicals plus fundamentals plunge, get the right tools to do so. I'm telling you, I know that this is a sales pitch, but I was having a long conversation yesterday with our head developer on the tools that we build. And I was just reflecting on how integral the EdgeFinder truly is to what I do every single day, and the Stockbox, which is our other product. Like I'm a true, absolute user every single day of these tools. You guys see it in every single video and live stream. The skeptics would say I show it because it is something I'm trying to sell, which is true. But it is also a product that I genuinely use constantly to scan markets, and has taken my trading absolutely to the next level. So don't miss it. Get 45% off. Link to get some information on it is in the chat right now. When you use that link, you'll speak directly to a member of our support team who can get you set up. Oil's also getting a bullish reading. I'm very interested in looking at this as well. Oil did get a retest of support here. I sold a cash secured put on a stock. When did I do that? A couple of days ago. Energy Transfer. I sold the 17 puts, $17 puts, expiring, I believe, August 8th. So what that means is I make money on those puts that I sold if price is at or above, anywhere above this level, I make money for shorting that put. If the stock drops below that level at expiration or before it, I could get assigned the shares at $17 per share. And I believe I sold 20 contracts. So it's a good sized position for me. I sold 20 contracts of ET, Energy Transfer. They are the name exactly explains what they do. They transfer energy. They move oil, natural gas. They have pipelines all throughout the country. And so it's a bit of an infrastructure play with the big, beautiful bill, as some people are calling it. Other people calling it the big, ugly bill, depending on who you ask. Regardless of who you ask, there's a ton of spending that's going, in my view, towards, or not even my view, it's going towards infrastructure. It supports all sorts of industrial companies, in my view. And so to me, the concept of tons of government spending and build outs and infrastructure, again, it adds a huge amount of potential money to the national debt, and there's criticism for it. The point is, besides the point of whether it's good or bad, is it tons and tons of money in my view, is going to get juked into industrials companies like Caterpillar and Energy Transfer. So these are stocks that I really like. So I sold a put, which means if the stock goes down, I could get assigned. I would like the shares. I would like to pick up some shares of ET and hold them for the longer term. Another stock that I've got my eye on, but it's way too stretched for me, is Caterpillar. If you get another market sell-off, I'd be interested in looking at Caterpillar, and I'm kicking myself because I wish I had bought some during the April sell-off. But shoulda, coulda, woulda those are banned words on this channel. People love to when they speak about their trading say should've, could've, would've. You'd be better off, in my opinion, if you remove those words from your dictionary when talking about trading. I should have trailed my stop. I could have bought more. I would have done this, but you didn't. You got to trade in the here and the now. And it doesn't do you any good to beat yourself up or blame other people or the market or a political figure you don't like. People love to, blame Trump or blame Powell or blame whoever, right? Putin. It's your trading account. Take some ownership of it, and you'll be better off for doing so. Take ownership of every trade, every dollar in your account. The sooner you do that, the better off you're going to be. Because if you blame other things, you're just going to be caught in that train forever. You'll be chasing your tail, blaming so-and-so, blaming the market, you'll always do that. I've seen people do that for years on my channel. Like I've seen constant comments about how something messed their trading up. It's never them. It's the market. It's the market's fault, or it's some person's fault, or the best thing you could do is take complete ownership of what you do in the market. Any thoughts on MSTR? I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of MicroStrategy. I have no opinion. I think that if you like crypto, to me, if I like crypto, I like Robinhood, which stock's going to really make me annoyed today. I sold a $95 strike call. I also own shares in the 40s. So I've done really, really well with this stock. Why is Robinhood involved in crypto? Well, a ton of millennials and Gen Z traders, investors use Robinhood to do their investing. And they're also tokenizing stocks for European traders. I mean, this company to me is awesome. The problem is, right, and this is where things get confusing for new stock investors, stock traders. People look at this and they say, yeah, that's awesome. It's got so many good things. It's going to keep going up. Well, by the time everybody knows it's awesome and it's already gone up significantly, the expectations from here are so high. So to me, I think this stock is overbought, and I own it and love the company. So it's important that you kind of can recognize that sometimes you can own a stock, or if you're trading indices, commodities, currencies, whatever, you can recognize, hey, this thing is looking stretched. This thing is looking overdone. I want to trail stops from here, because that's what I'm doing with the Russell. Actually, I don't personally think the Russell is overdone. I don't think it's overbought either. I think this has been a really nice grindy uptrend, and I think it has room to keep going. However, price pulling back 2,200. If it holds there, great. I'll just keep trailing stops. I don't know where this thing wants to go. I'm just going to keep trailing from here. Bullion says, why aren't you talking about Bitcoin's breakout? Bullion, just for you, my friend. We'll take a look at Bitcoin. Oh, it's a pretty beautiful chart, isn't it? Look at that. Did you guys see Ethereum too? Ethereum's smoking higher. Bitcoin, all-time high today, $117,000 per coin. Think about that. It's a crazy world we live in. $118,000 for air money. It's insane. I'd say air money. Technically, all software technologies are in the air, right? So I don't say that to discredit Bitcoin, because I'm pretty bullish on crypto in general. I don't own any right now. I'm not long, but I kind of am because, again, one of my biggest stock positions is Robinhood, which is a crypto cousin. Now, because look, here's Coinbase, right? Way more obviously a correlated to Bitcoin play. Coinbase is absolutely ripping it alongside Bitcoin. These are the picks and shovels. Robinhood, Coinbase, these are the picks and shovels businesses that actually surround the technology of Bitcoin. So to me, I personally really like holding companies that I think stand to benefit from crypto. Now, I know someone just asked me about MSTR. I'm not going to lie. I don't like the guy, Michael Saylor, right? I don't mean to speak ill of anyone on my channel, but after listening to interviews and things like that, I don't know what it is. Anybody else? Am I crazy? But I just feel like if you know who I'm talking about, Michael Saylor, the guy behind MicroStrategy, I have seen alleged sketchy things with his past. I have no proof of that. But more so, I trust my gut. When I listen to him speak, I just don't resonate. I don't know why. Maybe he resonates a lot more with other people, but I just don't resonate. And again, I'm not trying to speak poorly. I have no basis or facts to dislike him. I just you don't like everybody, right? Some people don't like me. A lot of people don't like me. That's fine. But like Michael Saylor, for some reason, I can't something about his aura is off. Bala, I'm with you, my friend. That's what I'm saying. It's not no shade, no hate. Just I don't know what it is. That's the thing with markets. When I look at companies or stocks, if the CEO is I just can't see them being a winner, it does make buying the stock and holding it a little harder. Like contrary to, so I love Robinhood, the stock. I keep talking about it, right? On a very largely unpopular opinion that I had during all of the Robinhood hate that went on a couple of years ago, with them closing markets and kind of retail hating on Robinhood. I have always kind of liked Vlad, the CEO. When listening to him speak, I feel like he's a smart dude. And it was a very unpopular. Now it's popular. A lot of people like him now. But a couple years back, people did not like Vlad. But anyways. But yeah, I personally think that he's a smart dude when listening to his commentary. But it's personal preference. Stocks are slightly lower here this morning. Current readings on the EdgeFinder, silver and gold both getting bullish readings. What's silver doing this morning? Let's take a look. Look at silver. Silver is pushing higher here. Silver breaking out across the 37.25 level we marked up. This looks really, really strong. What do you think about Lululemon, David? Stay tuned on the stock channel. I did get assigned my shares of Lululemon. I'm going to try and stay on task here today, though. On this channel, we're not supposed to talk about stocks, but I end up accidentally doing it. Oh, also the DAX trade. I haven't talked about the DAX trade. So DAX trade, I'm still in this. We're testing a support level today. Resistance, support, question mark. If we fail to hold support, I'm going to take profits. Not a huge profit, but DAX was looking really hot a couple of days ago. Looking for a push or a follow through off of this level. We're back testing or retesting into this 24,200 level. If we fail to hold, to me, that would be a signal to just bank profits and move on. Maybe we come back and retest this. I could maybe play it again. But for now, just trailing stops. Going to keep an eye on this. Why not stocks? My opinion, way more interesting than FX. So I have 2 different YouTube channels, and I look at the analytics of both. I have another channel which is focused more on stocks. When I show stocks on this channel, they are now. I agree. I think they're very interesting, but it matters what the audience as a whole typically likes. And on this channel, it is more centered around gold, indices, and Forex. When I talk about stocks, it alienates a bigger group of traders that watch these videos. So instead, I've made a second YouTube channel. So if you want to see my stock commentary, head over to TraderNick-Stocks. Nick, isn't this stop loss trailed on DAX too tight? No, because again, we broke through this level. I would personally like to see, the DAX has really, it's been on a rip to the upside here the last few days. We're retesting into this area. I really would like to see the previous highs hold pretty firm. If I'm thinking we're going to get a bigger push, like a continuation, like a big true breakout, I want it to hold here pretty quick. If it doesn't, I need to just take profits. Yeah, no problem. Come join me on the stock channel. I'd love to, if you follow me on the stock channel, help me out. That channel is really small. It's still growing. I'm having a ton of fun making videos, but I just crossed 1,000 subscribers on it. And if you actually like stocks, consider coming over, checking it out, watching some videos. Help me out. I'm trying to get that channel off the ground, up and running. It's doing well so far. We've got a smaller but a nice little crowd of stock traders, investors. Trading stocks is not the same as trading futures and FX. Yeah, they're very different, right? They're very different in some ways. Sentiment stuff, exact same. But yeah, there's some differences. Tracking financial data is a whole nother. In stock market world, you have, like in Forex, right? If you're going to look at currencies, or if you're going to look at indices, commodities, you're looking at like the big picture macro. Like if you're looking at gold, you're talking about central banks, economies around the world. That's top level, right? Very macro level stuff. If you're looking at stocks, it's very micro. You're looking at individual companies and their financials. But in my view, my approach to stocks, I actually look at both. So I'll do what is sort of considered a top-down approach, where I'll look at the macro, like I do on this channel heavily, but I'll also consider the financials of the company with some relatively simple approaches. So if you're interested in that, come join me on the stock channel. Dollar index here moving a little bit higher. We're testing into resistance today. And again, when I talk macro, right, dollar index does play a role even in my stock market involvement. I want to keep an eye on things like the US dollar. You guys know I trade indices heavily. So indices are sort of a step higher from sectors, which are a step higher from industries, which are a step higher from individual stocks. It's very fractal, the whole financial market. It's like ladder steps all the way up and down. Currencies, I would say, are like the most macro. Yeah, like the most macro you can possibly get is just currencies. Because indices are, what I love about indices is that there's a lot of like human psychology. There's a lot of sentiment involved. There's a lot of like themes like AI. Like I love like trading within that. That's why indices are kind of, to me, they're the sort of the sweet spot between macro stuff and also kind of like secular trends. That's why I would say indices are my favorite thing to trade. I also like commodities, currencies, stocks. I trade a little bit of everything. Let's see what else is moving here. We have No Kenzo today? Chris can't make it today either. Oh. No Chris today and no Kenzo either. That's fine by me. I've been on camera too much this week. I might close out the stream a little bit earlier. Before I do that, just a heads up. You know what? Bonus content. We'll look at some Stockbox stuff just for a second. So because I've been mentioning, micro stuff too, this is what I mean by micro. If I'm looking at, let me look at one of my favorite stocks is Google. So if I look at Google stock, right? If I want to analyze Google, I want to look at a couple things first, right? So if I'm thinking, do I want to buy some Google shares? Well, I could start with the EdgeFinder and say, look, the NASDAQ's getting a bullish reading. COT data shows institutional money is strong here. Seasonal trends are still strong in the month of July. Trend is to the upside. Manufacturing PMIs came in good. GDP missed. Services met expectations. Retail sales were negative. Inflation seems to be cooling. Strong employment data. Interest rates pushing higher here today on the 10-year. So I look at all that and I say, okay, generally bullish for the NASDAQ. What about the technicals for the NASDAQ? NASDAQ looking a little stretched. So I probably can't, I probably already have ruled out the possibility of bullish setups on the NASDAQ. Unless we got a pullback. So pullback to like 21,600 or 22,000, the previous all-time high. These would be a possible area where I'd look for retracement buys. And I could trade the NASDAQ, and I probably would from a momentum trading perspective, but I could also keep an eye on Google, which is a stock, which if you pick an individual stock and it does well, it can strongly outperform or underperform the index level, right? So the NASDAQ is the index level. We could go deeper and talk about Google. It's a stock that I think has a lot of potential. So if I look at, Google shares, I think this one has potential to climb back. So if I go over and I look at Google, the top stocks algorithm is sort of like the top setups, except it's for stocks. So if you like stocks, Stockbox might be a product that you look into. It's one of my favorites. And right now, like this is my passion project. EdgeFinder is too, always, but Stockbox is the new kind of version for stocks specifically. It's a whole new data set. It's a whole different set of data to look at stocks than it is to look at, currencies and indices. So anyways, Google has rising revenues, rising net profits, or net income, rising profit margins as well. To me, I mean, it is the most profitable company in the world. Take a look at PE ratios. PE ratios have actually come down because people are afraid that Google search is going to get eaten up by all the AI stuff. To me, that presents an opportunity. For some others, it might be way too much of a risk. To each their own. But earnings per shares, their earnings versus estimates, they've been kicking butt on their recent reported earnings. So that's another thing that looks good. And the scoring, which is not fully complete, but is almost done, is going to be considering all this stuff automatically and producing a list of stocks, just like the top setups indicator within the EdgeFinder. So I'm really excited about it. It's coming soon. Stockbox has a ton of data in it, and we are just in the process of curating it and finalizing scoring. It's been a work in progress for the last, year and a half, and has come a very long way. It also has some really cool technical tools. So we can go like 52-week high and low. So these are stocks that are breaking out through higher highs on the 52-week look back period. We've got pullback setups presenting here. These are stocks that are pulling back in a bullish or bearish setup. You also have top gainers for the day, which the airlines have jumped on. Delta Airlines, good numbers. They presented earnings that were good. You also have one of my favorite charts here is the market breadth indicator. This looks at the number of stocks in our collection that are above the 20-day, above the 50-day, above the 100-day, 200-day. We have all sorts of tools we're working on. If you want to scan stocks at a higher level, consider getting a copy of the Stockbox. Or if you're not a stock trader, all good. We also have the EdgeFinder. Both, for a limited time, are 45% off. If you want a copy of our tools, we are building furiously at A1 Trading. We're building so many tools right now that I can't keep up. It's awesome. I wake up at 6, I work till 10 p.m. because I love this stuff. It's kind of insane right now, but I'm not forever. But right now we are working overtime like crazy because we're finalizing all these cool projects, and it's going to the next level right now. So if you don't have a copy of the EdgeFinder or the Stockbox and you'd like to find out about our best discount prices of the year, we're doing our summer sale right now. Do not miss it. Right there. 45% off for a limited time. Send a direct message to our support staff and we'll get you set up. How much AI do you use in the Stockbox? A ton, Kobe. A ton. We are constantly using AI for stuff within the tool. It's exciting. It's a lot of fun building this stuff. Anyways, if you have any thoughts on ways we can improve it, please always feel free to comment it. I read every comment on my channels to try and keep my finger on the pulse to what people want to see next. And yeah, EdgeFinder and Stockbox are both going to the moon this year. So pick up a copy, 45% off, buy the dip. If you're interested in getting copies, now is the best chance to do so for the full year. Lee's got it right. Helicopter taken off. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We're going to cut it there. Have a great weekend. And I hope to see all of you guys back on Monday. Have a great weekend. See you guys.
Thanks again for watching today's show. Our goal at A1 Trading is to continue to share free value to our audience through daily videos and articles, keeping you up to date with the latest market coverage. If you enjoy our content, make sure to subscribe for more. From all of us at A1 Trading, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.